Alright, welcome to Toge Southwest. This is series 3 of episode 3. Calling this one the Burnout Lobby. Hobby. The Burnout Hobby. It is 7/10/2025. This is TougeSW.com. If you want to see my old episodes, this will be uploaded later onto there. See this every Thursday night on Twitch.tv. Raven. I upload these directly to YouTube. You can always check them out at Wandering Raven, or if you want to see previous videos that I've done, like meanwhile, I'll still upload them to Instagram, like basically progress of the car and stuff like that. So I'm gonna be at Vegas trip tomorrow. I'm gonna cover that a little bit, depending how hot it is. And all right, so who am I? I am the Wandering Raven. I'm born and raised. I did live in Oregon for a year. And but I'm a cancer survivor. I've been drifting for over 10 years. I'm working in IT. My main focus is cybersecurity. Basically the whole field of I drift, I hack video games. So yeah, when I'm talking about hacking and stuff like that, it's mainly my job in a way. And when I'm talking about I drift cars, mainly my 1987 Ford SX S12. Back in that picture there, it's from it had to be fun. I blew up the motor twice, and what is Toge Southwest? Toge Southwest started as a project shortly after I came back to Oregon. I was chased out of Oregon. I was held against my will when I was back in 2010 or 2011. To a point, I had to come back to Vegas. So, but the whole idea came from when I was in Oregon. I joined a club called Toge Northwest, and this community was so great. It was amazing, amazing time for me. And I'm probably gonna get a little real about this. Because what led me to go to Oregon was I had a such a bad traumatic experience through 2003 to 2009 that led me to where I needed to get up and yeah, because I was in a really really bad spot, and so I moved up to Oregon. That's where I met the whole Soga Northwest spot there area. But I also went up there to start a business with a business partner who actually ended up being um really mentally ill. Actually, I don't. It's really this whole situation was really silly, but I actually feared for both my life and my career, and basically held me against my life. I mean, he held me against my will, which actually threatened my life and my career all in one big thing. So, because I like Toga Northwest so much, it impacted so much of my life, changed everything about how I seen life. You know, it was like the most uplifting thing that ever happened to me. Especially you're coming from my traumatic experience with cancer that I had to fight. I was fighting cancer for 7 years, so and um, and then after that, I had a bad marriage. I had had a bad job to where I was playing the role of a what they call a chief information security officer as a partner or supposed to be a partner, and I never got that partnership. And so that led me to recently, in the past couple of years, writing a book called Vegas Hackware. So That's basically a lot of that. The whole trauma that happened between those whole years led me up to Oregon, but I didn't know that the person that I had partnered with there was about as bad as the original business partner here in Vegas. So that would led me coming back to Vegas. But let's see here. When I came back to Vegas, okay, Southwest, I started as I wanted to rebuild that as a community. And but in Vegas, it's a different car show. It's a different car thing. Um, a whole new beast. That's how I normally put it. Sorry. Ever since I could only breathe the soda up my nose, it's driving me nuts. So that's the whole point of that. Well, I started it that way, but finally, after a couple years, I've been not really progressing anywhere. I ended up more a more like a podcast kind of thing, or not a podcast. It was more like a blogging and imaging, uploading, covering certain events. But then, I guess up until 2019, when I had my last drift event, um, my mom actually passed away like 2 days after my last drift event in July of 2019. So yeah, this month is really hitting the nail for me again. Normally does, but I figured this time I'm gonna add in what this has done ever since I came back to Vegas. Um, so, if you're not familiar, what is a burnout? Not a car burnout, but a career burnout. And what I want to talk over about what is a career burnout? It would be more like I worked so like for like the biggest example ever. I worked like 10 years at this ISP as my beginning of my career. Uh, it was like hmm, the best way to put it is did all this stuff and I end up doing this in a way. I did all this stuff for this ISP, and when I ended up leaving, it burned me out to a point that I didn't really want to continue anymore. Matter of fact, in 2008, I attempted to become Metro officer in Vegas. I'm glad I didn't. I almost did. But yeah, and that's why it also led me when I went to Oregon. Thought I was going to start all over again, but I was trying to start up my own business, going, and but it still was hitting me a lot because I did all that work. I did so much work. I did so much learning. I did so much teaching. I've been taking all this abuse, all this trauma, all this everything, this mental, physical, and verbal abuse for so long. So I ended up it just when you switch gears to something new, it's just like you start all over again, and you're so afraid of something like that returning. But upon returning, I guess that's another reason why I like really got scared for my life when got my life held against me back up in Oregon. That if I continued there, I don't think this person would do anything like that. And I don't know, I was really scared. And so let's go with more like ever since I came back to Vegas. No, actually, when I was in Oregon. I learned that Northwest wasn't the answer to my burnout. Um, and because that was my answer to my burnout, it was like, it took me away from all that tech, all that hacking, all the computer, cybersecurity, all that stuff that I was so burned out on. I got so tired of building computers all the time. I got tired of trying to manage computers or building custom frameworks, engineering, architecture, networking. That's computer networking, not like physical network. Um, System administrations and engineering, programming, stuff like that. I just got so tired of that. And so it was like I took that, and once I got to start doing all this new stuff, I learned how to drift, autocross, all the fun stuff like that, It was so amazing. I got to meet so many new people, and the car culture is just so amazing. So, but then again, I came back to Vegas. I figured I definitely needed to get it back into the whole situation. I started Toga Southwest, but I also ended up going for drifting, more like Vegas drift. So I built this car here to be that drift car. So when I had to reboot my life here back in Vegas, I was homeless for a couple years. So I ended up going back to work to the ISP where I got treated like shit. But I was able to build that wall where this became more of a priority to cover my mental abuse that I've been taking, all that trauma, and everything along that line. So, because of that, this helped with my burnout with my career. So, once I was able to say, you know what, I'm gonna go and start working for a casino, and I ended up doing that. And because I did that, I was able to balance both my burnout and succeed in my career again. And that was actually a great thing. Of course, recent years, I'm actually feeling that burnout once again. So I'm trying my hardest to defeat this burnout by getting back into the car. And that's why a lot of times when I come home from work, I either just want to play video games or just jump into them. Mainly, I just want to just jump back into the car and try to get it running again. And that's the whole reason why I started Toge Southwest again this past couple years, to motivate myself again, to make, hold myself accountable to make my car running instead of just trying new things and whatnot. We know the motor works, we know the motor fits these cars just fine. I can work out everything. I have a weird OCD problem, so I want to make sure everything is set perfectly before I do anything, which is odd. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And that's what burnout it really is. It's just you work so hard at something, you and you just don't get nothing in return. And that for time burns you out. And I spent 10 years at that ISP, the local ISP that I started with building my career with. I worked so hard to climb up and do things, and I felt like I was a partner, but I wasn't, and I wasn't being built up that way. Matter of fact, every time I tried approach what's going on, I always got talked down and basically humiliated and abused and gaslit and stuff like that. I read everything about that at vegashackwear.com. So yeah, I did the whole book. So that is go. I'll show you what I mean real quick. Just quick. I'm gonna jump in. This is what I started. So like I side thing, even though I don't really push the side business. Here's the book. This is the book I've written. I put it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Click on the link for Amazon here. I have Kindle, it's free. You want a paperback, that supports me and helps me out. I sell enough of those paperbacks. That means I can actually move back to Oregon, start my life all over again, like I wanted. But in any time supporting me like that, I also get to put it back into the car that I'm working on drifting again in my bucket list of doing drifting all of. Alright, so let's go next. Now we get to do our drift car status. Awesome. So what did I do so far? You know what? I did upload a video. So I will do content, play video. Don't need to hear the music stuff. So I so all right. So I'm gonna do a little commentation on this. What happened was I figured out everything on my AC. Well, I did do another thing I forgot. This isn't the drift car. This is the daily car. What happened here was able to do something on this car. Turns out the actual core itself is broken. So but that wasn't what I was working on. I guess I didn't upload that video. All right, so but I wrapped up everything. Um, actually mounted the lines and everything. It's all ready, pretty much all set. I mounted that. All I gotta do is I gotta put clamps on and go from there. So, okay. Oh yeah, I did upload everything to Instagram, so I think that's gonna pull up. So that might actually make it easier. Go here. Jump in. All right, so I'm trying to show a little bit of what's going on. Have it all set up and mounted. I'm showing here. I don't know if I can. I can't zoom in. It's gonna be the little potato. Sorry. So yeah, that's pretty much what I did there. I took off the tire, make it easier for the for me to get to the rack. And I can also work out that extra wiring that I didn't need anymore. Basically, that's it. For the daily 86, learned that the AC condenser has a hole in it. So that's that. Um, and like I was going at as like, well, actually, I don't even have the bucket list ready. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna hold off on that one till next week. So what's left to keep me going? So we're here. We're in the middle of full power steering. We're almost done. So hopefully by the end of this weekend, I'll have it written off. All I did. Not much. It's been really hot. Really hot, meaning about 110, 115. My car has been registering 120 this week, so it's been one hell of a heat wave. And heat really messes with me, and but that's what I'm going to do. I still need to do the cluster. So, yeah, so pretty much copying everything that I had done last week for what I had planned. Which is the attack, I have to pull the old cluster from the black S12 that I have in the backyard. and finish up the power steering. And I did finish the extra loose wiring, but I'm still going through a lot of different things here. I want to make sure everything's good to go. And yeah, that's pretty much it. What else is there? That's pretty much what I got planned. So in closing, I do this every Thursday night, starting at 10 o'clock p.m. PST. Um, but I do stream every night. I play video games from 7 to 11. Monday through Friday, that is. On the weekends, it's random. Can't do garage streaming because the heat is like really affecting my phone, so I can't really do that. I try, but I can only get so far. Um, so if anybody's out there, any questions and answers, feel free to ask them these times. But for now, that's pretty much what I got, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, time to call it a night. We did cover burnout and stuff, so hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out, and bye.